America 250 has really got me thinking. Do you still have hope for this country? Hello, hello! My name is Ashlee and welcome to my channel! Today, we are going to be talking about America 250, the future of our country, and just thoughts about it all. So without further ado, let's get into it. July 4th was over the weekend, and it was America's 250th birthday. Donald Trump decided to make this about himself, of course. Who else would it be about? Not American citizens. No. So Donald Trump made this all about him, and it was essentially chaos. Like everything else Donald Trump does, this was no different. It was chaos and just a disaster. The stage was falling apart. The buildings had fake wrapping around them, so it looked like they were made properly, but they were not. It was hot as hell outside. Not just in Washington, D.C., it was hot as hell in St. Louis. It was extremely hot in a lot of different places. Not only was it hot, there was also storms. Most of the booths, almost all of the booths, were AI generated. There were essentially no musical acts. Everyone dropped out except for Vanilla Ice, of course. It was a disaster. And it was so much of a disaster that Donald Trump didn't even speak until I think after 11 p.m. He went on some crazy rant about socialist and communist, and all of his supporters that were there for the festival ended up getting upset because they were told to leave, or they were told to take a break for a second because there was a storm. Apparently, one of the conservatives said that this was a liberal weather station problem and that the liberals did this. Not only did the liberals somehow create algae, but apparently the liberals also made it so it stormed on July 4th, even though it stormed in a lot of other places, including in St. Louis. Apparently, it was the liberals. Ridiculous. Now, these people were not there in the beginning of the week because no one was there in the beginning of the week. It was a mess, a complete mess from the beginning to the end. So let's start at the beginning of the day. In the beginning of the day, there was a neo-Nazi group called Patriot Front marching in Washington, D.C. Let's take a look at this. Okay, if you see, they have Confederate flags within the mix. They also have the flags with just the circle. And I've been seeing a lot of those flags out and about lately. And those flags also give me pause because I also think that they're white nationalists. So Patriot Front is out here marching at the beginning of the day and on 4th of July. I will say, that's a perfect encapsulation of what America is right now, and honestly for such a long time. Of course, I don't think it's the full encapsulation. There's also a big leftist socialist movement happening right now. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I feel like neo-Nazis, white nationalists being able to march around Washington, D.C., and it not being the number one story of the day and not a lot of people really caring about it, perfectly like summarizes America. And so that happened in the morning. Now let's go to the, I guess, most chaotic part, which is when I guess the liberals, us people on the left, because I'm not a liberal, but I guess people on the left, we conjured up a storm. I don't know. It's ridiculous. This is what happened. Fox News says, breaking, crowds give defiant boos as emergency evacuations ordered by Secret Service take place at Salute to America. And Hassan said, be careful, this crowd notoriously doesn't like their movement being restricted by law enforcement in DC. Yeah. So let's listen to these people. They're booing. It's like insane. That's insane. I'm sorry. That's insane. I just don't understand why people don't get that when you have that amount of equipment, when you have that amount of electricity, because it takes a lot of electricity and a lot of power to set up events like this. And so, yes, when there's a storm, when it's raining, when there's lightning, when there's thunder, you have to stop because it is very dangerous to be around that equipment, especially equipment and shit that was just falling. The stage was falling apart. And if you look, like, the cable management was horrific. Okay. I used to work and set up for events, not at that scale. Well, I mean, kind of at that scale, but in St. Louis. But because not a lot of people went to the America Fest, whatever the hell it was. But anyway, not the point. So, not the point. I used to work somewhere where we set up events and we set up for like concerts and stuff. And basically, when you have like all of these different cables that go to the lighting, to the sound, to smoke machines, what have you, and they're all going into these different consoles, and you have to have cable management so that way people don't trip over them, so that way, just general safety rules, right? And the cables were all out in the open. You can all see them, which is usually you put like cable mats over it, or you like tape it down, or there's some kind of management of these cables so that way it's safe, relatively safe, right? Well, that already looked horrible. And so you already have a dangerous situation because they cut corners when setting up this event. Now you have another dangerous situation where there's literally a storm going on, and it is protocol. It is protocol when there are storms going on that you take a break. If you are setting up for a concert, if you're setting up for this, because it is dangerous, okay? And I have been in situations like that, and it's so wild to me. It's like, okay, you want to get electrocuted? You want something to happen to you? Like, I don't know. Like, you're booing people who are trying to help you, okay? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. You seeing Trump means more to you than your safety. I don't know what to say at that point. I don't know what to say to people at that point. So they didn't want to leave, and then some random ass person in the crowd blamed it on the Weather Channel and liberals because, sure, I don't know. Now let's get into Donald Trump's speech. Donald Trump, like all of the other conservatives, have been going after the left of the Democratic Party, have been going after the Democratic Socialists, the DSA, because of the recent momentum, because of the recent wins. It's very exciting. I'm a member of DSA, and I'm currently door knocking for Cori Bush. So if you all have any like money to send to her, or if you have any time to phone bank, or if you're near or live in St. Louis and you want to door knock, please do all of those things. Hopefully she can be the next person that we get into office, the next DSA member that we can get into office again. And so please help her out if you can. But anyway, so because of that momentum, a lot of conservatives and Democrats and liberals are going after the DSA. So in this speech, Donald Trump calls out socialism and communism and blah, blah, blah. But there's another part of his speech where he also tries to bring the religion into it.
You can be loyal to Karl Marx, or you can be loyal to America. You can be a communist, or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both. As for those who peddle Marxist lies about our heritage, tell our children that we live on stolen land or that our heroes were oppressors, they're doing something much worse than slandering our past. They are slandering and attacking our future. Not going to let that happen.
I don't know how we're slandering the future by telling the truth about the past, right? When you tell the truth about the past, when we actually reckon with our past and make real changes to reckon with that past, that's when there's change. That's when we'll have a better future. But right now, the future that we have in America is pretty bleak. Without reckoning with our past, without telling the truth about our past, if we don't do that, if we don't reckon with that in America, which we haven't, if we don't do that, then yeah, our future looks incredibly bleak. Incredibly bleak. So let's listen now to Donald Trump trying to push this theocracy. Now that he's not doing well and people don't like him, he has to try to bring in the religion to try to get all of the evangelicals on his side again.
As our Declaration of Independence tells us, we are all made in the image of one Almighty God.
Yeah, no. Our Declaration of Independence doesn't say that. And this is what I'm talking about. You want to talk about Marxists, you want to talk about socialism. You're like, oh, if you're a communist, you're not a patriot, and you're lying about our past, and that endangers our future. No, what endangers our future is lying about founding documents. Now, if you have listened to me for a while, you know I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, the founding fathers, da-da-da-da-da, like, F them, honestly. They were imperialists, they were slave owners. Like, I have no admiration for them, right? And I am in no way going to sit here and act like our founding documents were perfect, because I routinely say that the Constitution was specifically made for those in power, the white landowners in power at the time, and was explicitly to make sure to protect their rights, and not the proletariats at the time. And so that is my personal opinion. I know that's probably not everyone's opinion, but it is my personal opinion. But to just outright lie and say that that's in the founding documents, when it's one of the things I think we've gotten right in this country, is that no religion is above the other. Our country, that our states, that our cities are not, they cannot be run by religion, right? We have freedom of religion and freedom from it, right? So everyone can have their own religion or can choose not to. And that is okay, and no one will be penalized because of that. And the conservatives and the right wing have been going after that for decades. So him saying that is a way for him to try to shape the future of this country, which I think puts it even more in danger. But he's trying to shape it in an evangelical way. That's why in the 50s they added "In God We Trust" to everything, because now conservatives like, oh, well, if we're not a Christian nation, why is "In God We Trust" on our money? Because they added it in the 50s, because specifically this. So you specifically could have that argument. And so that's where this question comes in. That's where this fight comes in between the evangelicals and the conservatives, MAGA. They are freaking out because they finally have opponents that are going to fight back and are going to call them out and are going to call their bullshit. And so they're freaking out. And I think the attack that they're using on Fox News for why socialism is more popular than capitalism now is an interesting one when most people are struggling. But let's hear what Karoline Leavitt has to say about socialism being popular nowadays.
Some of these kids, and I call them kids because they're in their 20s, and they've never had real jobs, and they're complaining things are expensive. Yes, things are expensive when you don't have a real job. Right.
Okay. Not that it matters, but I'm in DSA, and I know people in DSA, and all of them have jobs, and a lot of them are older than me. Like, yeah, there are a lot of younger people, but a lot of them are older than me, and I'm 32. So they're just objectively wrong. Not that Jesse Waters has had an actual job.
Do you think that's getting traction? Complaining.
Also, I want to know what they consider a real job, right? Like what is Jesse Waters consider a real job? I wonder what they mean by real jobs. What do you mean by real jobs? Because I think what they would consider not a real job, I think, are some of the hardest jobs in America, and they're the least paid. So I just wanted to point that out. But anyway, let's keep going.
Fortunately, I do, because this generation, my generation, I hate to say it, Gen Z and those younger than me have been raised with just silver spoons in their mouth, just getting everything handed to them. That's not the values this country was built on. It was built on meritocracy and hard work, pulling up your sleeves, pulling yourself up from your bootstraps, and achieving the American dream. And we need to protect it with all we got.
Is it laziness?
A little bit.
Is it because the professor said country's corrupt, it's evil, and we just need to shake them down and hand money out?
It's laziness, and it's the liberal indoctrination. We want kids to be taught to love our country. They should. It is the greatest country in the history of the world.
I gotta say, the whole greatest country thing really bothers me because I saw that a lot on July 4th. And I'm like, how are people still saying that this is the greatest country? How? How? How in the world can you still sincerely tell me that you think in 2026 America is the greatest country in the world? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I never will. But anyway, so I think it is an interesting response to tell everyone that if they want someone like Zoran who is going to fight for them and is going to actually help them, like he just instituted a pet food bank, which is incredible, and I'm so jealous of New York. So I just want to know, like, do they think that this is gonna work? Do they think that telling everyone that if they like what Zoran is doing, that they're just lazy? They're lazy and they're stupid and they're naive, and they're just they don't want to work hard enough, right? They don't want to work hard enough. Don't ask Jesse Waters like how he got to his position. Don't ask Karoline Leavitt how she got to her position. Just, all of these kids who have to work multiple jobs, all of these people, not even just kids, most people have to work multiple jobs to keep things up, and prices are soaring. Food prices are insane right now. And so again, there are many people who have to have multiple jobs just to make ends meet and can barely do that. And you're telling them that they're lazy, that they're the ones that are lazy, and that they just need to work harder. It's not Trump's fault. No. The food price is going up because of the war in Iran, because fertilizer has gone up, because of the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, no, that's, you just need to work hard enough so you can afford food now. You can't afford food now because the prices went up. Maybe you should get another job. Maybe you should get a fourth job. And that's maybe you should rethink your laziness. That's essentially what they're saying. Like Jesse Waters and Karoline Leavitt, people who are not wanting for anything, are telling the rest of us that we're just lazy. We're just lazy. Also, it's incredible to me that she's like, oh, you have to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. This is for meritocracy. America's about meritocracy. When Donald Trump literally just got everything handed to him, okay? That man has gone bankrupt. He doesn't know how to run. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to run it like a business. He doesn't know how to run an effing business, okay? He's bankrupted like all of his businesses. This man has been given everything to him in his life. And not to mention Donald Trump, I'm not following any of the World Cup, but what I will say is that Donald Trump reached out to the president of FIFA to get one of the US players on, I guess he got a red card, which means he couldn't play in the next game. He was like suspended from the next game. Donald Trump called the president of FIFA, unsuspended him from the next game. Is that meritocracy? Is that meritocracy? Is that the meritocracy that we say exists in America? Is that what that is? It doesn't sound like it to me. And Political Punk says, hey, Gen Z, stop being so lazy and marry a wealthy real estate developer that is your dad's age, like all real bootstrappers do. No, exactly. Okay. And then I think there was another post I saw that said like she went to a private school, that she worked for some billionaire when she got out of school. So she should not be talking about like living with a silver spoon in your mouth. It's weird to me. I get it. They're old enough, age gap relationships, whatever. Like, I don't even think she's 30. She's not even 30. It's weird. Okay. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. But I will say, to try to close it out and answer my initial question, the one thing giving me hope right now is the DSA's momentum, is Zoran, is a lot of people running that are about working class values and about helping the working class. And that is what I have hope in. I have hope in the fact that most Democrats are done with the corporate Democrats and don't believe them. And I have hope in the fact that people are waking up to the realization that we're not the best country in the world, and that has always been a propaganda line, and that there are just a slew of things that need to be fixed in this country, and a lot of it is due to corruption. And I do think a lot of people are waking up and seeing that. So that's where my hope comes from. I just want to give a little hope core. So while Donald Trump and Karoline Leavitt and all these people are going after Zoran, or going after socialism, communism, blah, 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 right? Saying that it's not patriotic and you can't be American and a communist and da-da-da-da-da. They are saying that this is not an attainable thing, especially with the most recent ones with Darlisa. They're saying, oh, she wants to abolish the police and abolish jails and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, they want you to live in chaos. But look, and Zoran has said similar things in the past. And look, under a socialist mayor, New York City has reported its fewest shootings and murders in its recorded history. Interesting. Maybe it's because when you actually invest in people and resources, there aren't people who are as desperate to carry out certain crimes. And have the resources to maybe do something else with their time that is free and does not cost. So I think this is incredible. And I really just wanted to point this out because I think this is one of the bigger things that the right is trying to glob onto to go against people who are more progressive, who are running. This is a great way to prove them wrong. Okay, so this is something that I'm really excited to watch. It's AOC talking to a reporter, and it's about her potentially running in 2028. So we're gonna watch this, and I'm gonna tell you a little story. But yeah.
Vance just said in an interview that he thinks you are going to be the leading Democratic candidate for president in 2028. What's your response to that?
I mean, I hope he is. That's what I'll say.
And he's a Republican nominee?
Yeah.
Okay, I loved that. I loved it. She said, I hope he is. I hope he's the Republican nominee, because I don't think he's gonna win if he's the Republican nominee. Okay, and again, if you've seen my channel for a while, you know that I want AOC to run for president. I do. I really, 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 really do. I really do. I think now's the time. I think now's the chance. And I think if it's ever gonna happen, it's gonna happen now. And that's my personal opinion. And I like how she smiles and is like, yeah, you're kind of right. She's definitely running for a higher office. We just don't know if it's president or Senate. I actually talked to people about this in DSA the other day, and some people want Ro Khanna, some people hate Ro Khanna because Ro Khanna is too close with Silicon Valley, which I agree with. Although I do think Ro Khanna would be a better option than say like a Gavin Newsom, though I don't think Gavin Newsom even has a chance. I do think that the corporate Democrats are going to try to push someone in that vein, right? And so we were talking and someone was like, oh, well, do you think like we're ready for 2028? Do you think DSA, or do you think like the progressive socialist movement is ready for that? And I personally, and like I understand that, because then if she loses, it's like, oh, well, see, a socialist can't become president. And not that even like she's a socialist, you know what I'm saying? Because she, again, like I like AOC, but of course she has been more friendly with the corporate portion of the Democrats to get by and to try to stay cordial with everyone. Emma Vigland always talks about how she's being strategic and she needs to do this to get certain kinds of support. And I agree, but I also think she could be a lot more radical, especially in this moment now. But I do think that she is one of the best options for president, mainly because MAGA people voted for her, Democrats voted for her, regular Democrats like her now. And so she's just all around very well liked. I don't think that a Democrat's going to win. I don't think that just like a plain run-of-the-mill Democrat, corporate Democrat can win. I don't. And that's just my personal opinion. Of course, it'd be really difficult to get AOC to win, but I think that more people would be on board with that than they would be, again, like a Gavin Newsom. And so that's my personal opinion. And so I just kind of want to know what you all think about that below. I also think Ro Khanna is a really good, I think Ro Khanna is good too, but I'm worried that the next person on the Republican side is going to be someone much worse than Trump, because Trump is incompetent and a narcissist, right? But the next person who comes, if it is JD Vance, like he's going to have Peter Thiel with him, right? And things are going to get much scarier, I believe, because they will, like, someone like JD Vance would do whatever Peter Thiel wants them to do, right? He's going to do whatever they want. And Donald Trump will do whatever people want, but then sometimes he does something crazy because he wants to, and then it messes the whole thing. Do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like Donald Trump can be a liability to them at sometimes, and a liability to their plans, because of his narcissism. Whereas I think someone like JD Vance or Marco Rubio, or even like a Tucker Carlson or a Stephen Miller. I don't think Stephen Miller would run, but I think Tucker Carlson would run. I think that they would be more willing to just go with whatever these billionaires say. They would be much more competent at achieving their goals. That's my personal opinion. I really want to know what you think, so please tell me below what you think. You have hope for what comes after America 250, let me know. But all right, that was the video today. Tell me if you liked it or not. I hope you liked the video, and please tell me what you think below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, love you all, bye.